everybody. Yes, it is that time of the day again. Today we're doing things a bit too early. Well, don't despair. We've got something great for you. I have been promising that I'll be bringing you guys the best of the best. And yes, today I have with me my friend, James W. Keys. This is not just an ordinary person. He is the ex-CEO. Ex-CEO, that is big, James. Ex-CEO of 7-Eleven and Blockbuster. He's an author, but you know what? I think I want to just give you the time, James, to tell us all about the great things you've been doing. Today, the topic that James will be sharing with us is all about innovation and education. I know we are going through these seasons or times where we think education is not necessary because we can do this. It's so easy to get access money and all that. But I think James has a different perspective, especially connecting with the book that you've recently written, James. How are you? Welcome.
Thank you. I'm very well, thanks, and I'm very happy to be with you.
Oh, exciting, exciting. So, James, it's exciting times. Today we have you here on Sunday Supper Biz Talk Live. I know you are in America right now. Is it morning right now?
I am. It is just after midnight, yes, and I'm coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. Actually, outside of San Antonio, Texas. I had a family, a nephew and a niece that are having a baby, and so they had a big event at the ranch today. So I was out literally with horses, and I did. In fact, I did an interview today with the LA Tribune that would make you laugh. I wish it was still sunny because this was, I don't know if you can see this, but I'll show you. This was me with a bucket and the horses in the background, but no one could see the bucket. It came off quite nicely.
You just have to love Zoom. I was laughing the other day. I was wearing half
That's amazing.
PJs and half a suit, and I'm thinking it's all about what people see. So people saw you with this beautiful background of horses. They did not know that
Exactly.
it was elevated on a bucket. Oh my goodness. I've got an idea now for the next show. The next place, I don't need to be in my office. I can just go anywhere with my bucket. Thanks, James. I'm going to steal that one from you.
Exactly. Exactly. I was sitting on a bucket and I had my computer propped up on a bucket and I used my phone for a Wi-Fi hotspot. So it worked. Somehow it worked.
All right. So over to you, James. Just share with us anything that you feel passionate about. And then after that, we'll go through a Q&A. For those who are joining us via Facebook Live or here on Zoom, please feel free to post your questions, or at the end, just turn your videos on and just ask Jim. Over to you, Jim.
Well, thanks, Patience. I am very pleased to talk about the book. It's called Education is Freedom. And the most important, more important than the title of the book is the subtitle, The Future is in Your Hands. And I did this on purpose because what I was trying to accomplish was reaching out to people who are stuck, people who need some advice in moving forward. It could be students, it could be young professionals, it could be someone who's retired and doesn't know what's next. What do I do next? And I was trying to impart the idea that every one of us is capable of anything by the power of learning. And the most important opportunity is today we have in our pocket literally a portal to unlimited learning. So there's no excuse for any of us. Well, what happened when I set out to write this book, I said, I think I can help others like me who I was one of those young people who really wasn't expected to go to college, wasn't expected to succeed, certainly wasn't expected to lead one or two Fortune 500 companies. But I used the power of knowledge to be able to accomplish that. And I'm still learning today so that I can learn virtually anything. I fly airplanes, I paint pictures, I sculpt, I do lots of things only because I've learned the power of learning. and it really does work. So as I wrote the book, trying to help others find a way to use the power of education to be able to learn and to be able to accomplish and literally unlock opportunity, I discovered that there's a single biggest obstacle that most of us face. I'm guilty of it too. I have the same thing. It's that insecurity, it's that fear that prevents us from moving forward, that prevents us from realizing our full potential. And this is individuals have fear. If you extrapolate that into a corporation, you'll find that whole corporations have fear and inertia sets in, and they're unable to keep up with change and use knowledge to advance and to compete. And then finally, if you step back from it and you look at the problems that are going on in the world, you'll find that fear is the culprit in so many cases that causes whole societies to fight within themselves or to implode, if you will. And so, how do we combat fear? In the book, I talk through the importance of confidence. But what really I was trying to impart is the idea that fear is self imposed. It's an unnecessary but very human reaction. And if you think about it, it saved us when we were thousands of years ago vulnerable to natural predators. So we had a portion of our brain that, when threatened, we would run away or we would fight. The fight or flight phenomenon that still occurs sadly today in all humans. So what happens is that even though we have no natural predators, that same behavior shows up in the boardroom. Okay, so how do we combat that? How do we prevent ourselves from being vulnerable to overreacting out of fear and keeping ourselves from being successful? Well, there's a simple solution. The simple solution is that knowledge, and that's what I tried to impart in the book, is that knowledge is the antidote to fear. The more you know, the less you have to be afraid of. And you think about a child, think about a young when we were all children and we were afraid of the dark. What did we do? We turned on the light, or mom came into the room and turned on the light. That represents knowledge, because knowledge basically is in the light that's in each of us to be able to eliminate fear. Because once we're aware, once we have knowledge, we realize there's really nothing to be afraid of. There is no problem that can't be solved with knowledge. And that's the objective of the book, is to be able to help us free ourselves from the baggage of fear that we all face, and to be able to use knowledge. And I throw in another one. In fact, I go back often when I'm explaining this opportunity. I go back to some of the ancient philosophers. And there was an Andalusian philosopher who once said that ignorance basically leads to fear, and fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hate, and hate, of course, leads to violence. So if you don't like the words of an ancient philosopher, I'll quote Yoda from Star Wars, because when Yoda was teaching young Luke in Star Wars, he said the same thing. Basically, he said, Luke, ignorance leads to fear, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to violence. You must break this cycle. That's the dark side. And he said, you can combat the dark side by using knowledge. And of course, he said, the force. Now, I think of the force as faith. And it doesn't matter what basis of faith you might have, what religion. Faith goes across all religions. Basically, I quoted in the book Paulo Coelho in the book The Alchemist, who said, if you want something badly enough, the universe will conspire to make it happen. And to me, that's ultimately the beauty of faith and knowledge, because with faith or a belief in yourself, at least, and knowledge, you can accomplish anything. There is nothing to be afraid of. So that's basically the message that I have in this book, that we are in control of our own destiny. And it's one consistent certainty is that change is going to happen in our lives. It's going to happen as individuals, it's going to happen as corporations, it's going to happen in society. And when change happens, the only thing that matters is how we individually and then collectively respond to that change. That is choice. And that choice is in our hands. We can choose the way we respond to change. Good change and bad change could be soul crushing negative change. Can we find the silver lining? Can we use knowledge and faith to be able to allow us to respond in a positive manner to any change that occurs? Ultimately, I call that the key to success in business, because business is all about change. The role of the CEO, as I had the privilege of leading 2 Fortune 500 companies as CEO, I think of the acronym CEO, meaning change equals opportunity. And so, therefore, you're in control of your own destiny. You too can have the future in your own hands if you focus on eliminating your fear by using knowledge and faith to be able to overcome any circumstance that's thrown your way and be able to leverage any opportunity as well. So I hope you'll get a chance to read the book. It is available on Amazon and many of the other online sources. There's also educationisfreedombook.com. I have an opportunity for people to download an abridged version of it to be able to get sort of a sample of the book to see if you want to then order it. Hopefully you will, and you'll find I'm also offering a scholarship worldwide with an internet phenomenon called Mr. Beast. Jimmy Donaldson has partnered up with me to offer $10,000 scholarships to students all over the world. I have fascinating videos coming from Africa, from Australia, from Europe, from Asia, all with young people providing their own interpretation of education is freedom. So with that, I'm going to come back to Patience and see if we can open it up for some questions.
Yes, definitely. So for those online, please feel free to send through your questions, but I do have some lined up here. So based on your experience, that was really great. I've been writing notes, so it's perfect. Based on your experience, Jim, leading major companies, how do you see the intersection of education and business innovation evolving in the coming years?
I see innovation being more critical than ever before. And as you mentioned earlier, there's a narrative out there that education is not as important anymore. Maybe you can just learn everything you need to learn online. But I think that the success of businesses going forward will be critically dependent on the success of their individual teams, the people in those companies being able to have the breadth of knowledge through education to be able to bring creativity and innovation to the table. Because let's face it, the world is moving very quickly. With AI coming in, AI is going to be able to replace a lot of traditional jobs, which to me doesn't represent a threat if you have a strong breadth of knowledge. Going deep on any one subject will make you vulnerable. Going broad and having breadth of knowledge will always allow you to pivot, and it will allow companies to be more successful in innovating.
Wow, I think that changes quite a lot. You know, sometimes you just think that because everything is so accessible, we don't realize that we're only touching the surface, you know? We're not going deep with the education. We're not really going deep to have an understanding of what we can actually master on. So it's really great. Thanks for that. The
Sure.
next question that I have for you is, what role has continuing education played in your own leadership journey? And how do you think it can contribute to fostering innovation within your organization or within the authoring that you've been doing?
I'll tell you what happened. I was walking across campus one day. I was going back to Columbia University to teach a class, and I saw a young man walking my direction, and he had a T-shirt that said, literally, "Education is freedom." I thought up until that moment that I was done. I had a master's degree in business. I had plenty of education, and I thought I was finished. And that moment, seeing that young man and then going to teach a class, I went into that class and I told the students, I just had a realization. And it came from a T-shirt because I realized my education's just starting. My college degree is a license to learn. And if I want to be a successful CEO, and if I want to contribute to a successful company, then I have to keep learning every single day. And I have to make a commitment that that learning process will not only be with me, but I'll share it with my team so that my team is committed to learning. And that way, we as a team will be able to be nimble, constantly stay ahead of trends, to be able to be fearless. And again, going back to knowledge lets you eliminate fear. We'll be able to be fearless in adapting to the changes that are inevitable in any company or in any industry.
I'm reminded when you talk about fear, I'm reminded of a time when you were sharing about how you had this brilliant idea that you thought would work, but for some reason it just didn't. So can you just share a bit about that so we can be able to understand that sometimes failure is a process of education as well, you know? I know there are a lot of people who don't even start anything because they're fearful that it won't work. They're fearful that people won't buy from them. There's just too much fear. But then that fear can become a positive thing.
It can be, and I've had many times that I've tried at something and failed, and not necessarily through my own fault. It was a situation where the macro environment changes. And I'll give you a great example. I joined Blockbuster in the year 2007 with the intention of taking them to a digital transformation. Clearly, by the year 2007, it was going to happen. And I was well on the way. We acquired a streaming video company from five of the six major studios. We were in great shape. We had increased earnings of the company. We were about to refinance our balance sheet. And then, if you remember what happened in 2008, the financial markets collapsed. Lehman Brothers shut down. The whole world was basically under stress. And Blockbuster had $1 billion in debt. I had to change my focus from transforming a company now to saving the company. I also then had all of the challenges of public scrutiny and people second guessing, and I had just gotten to the company a year before, but I was now being blamed for the demise of Blockbuster. So I stayed the course. I could have quit. I could have just bailed out, but I stayed the course. And by staying the course, I was able to find a strategic partner, restructure the balance sheet, take it through a restructuring, have the company sold to Dish Networks, and given another chance of success. Was that the outcome I wanted? No. But was it the best outcome that could be obtained given the circumstances of a collapsed financial market? Absolutely. So my takeaway, I love to quote Nelson Mandela, and I had the blessing of actually talking with Nelson Mandela about this book, about education is freedom. Not the book itself, but the concept of education is freedom. We were in discussions with him about being the honorary chairman for a foundation by the same name, Education is Freedom. And Nelson Mandela said something that is so relevant to that very question, Patience, about what happens if you don't succeed. He said, I never fail. I win or I learn. And that is such good advice, because if you recognize there's no such thing as failure, then there's nothing to be afraid of. You do your best, you do your research, you do your homework, you're prepared, you give it your best shot. And if you're not successful, then you step back and you learn. And the next time you will succeed.
Mm. All right. I've got a comment here on the chat. It says, kindly share more on the educational services you provide, as education is freedom.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear share more about.
Share more on the educational services you provide, as education is freedom.
Okay, well, there's two. I'll try to clarify. There are two elements. I created about 20 years ago a foundation by the name Education is Freedom. And that is a public 501c3. It's a charity that's, you can find it online, educationisfreedom.com or .org. And it does some great work inside of public schools in the United States, helping young people basically understand the path, helping them understand the importance of going to school, the right classes to take, helping them fill out applications for college, and even providing college scholarships and scholarship support to make that possible. So we've been for 20 years out there changing lives by helping people become aware. And particularly these are inner city kids who may not think, many cases, they're first generation. Parents didn't go to school. They didn't think that they were college material. And so that's the foundation. Then secondly, the book is separate from the foundation. The book is just me trying to spread the word, to take it outside of the United States, and to take the concept of education as freedom and the important lessons that I've learned about how to learn, what to learn, and why to learn, to be able to take those messages worldwide. So yeah, we've got basically two ways to spread the word about education as freedom.
All right. Thank you. I hope that is clear, Doris. So yeah, another question that I have for you there is, how do you think companies can create a culture that values educational development and translates it into actionable business innovations?
Well, I think corporate culture starts at the top. The tone at the top is critically important. And again, if the CEO sees change as opportunity, if he sees his role or her role as CEO, that change equals opportunity, then they will build a culture that encourages some of the things that I talk about in the book. For example, if in order to embrace change, you have to have confidence. Once you're able to recognize change being opportunity and have the confidence to do something about it, then you have to have clarity. You have to have the ability to simplify, to take very complex problems or challenges and break them into simple solutions. So not only can you understand them, but then you can communicate that plan to the rest of the organization. And then I characterize those as what to learn within the organization to be able to embrace change. But then there's the how to learn, and it's critical thinking, the ability to step back from a problem and really think it through, not to take at face value what you see or hear, the curiosity, and then the creativity to be able to take on these challenges. Those I characterize as the how to learn. And then finally, the why to learn is critically important. I've also characterized 3 C's. for the why to learn, and that is the importance, critical importance of collaboration, something I call cultural literacy. In other words, recognizing that together, the more different we are, the more powerful we can be. So that cultural literacy, understanding people that are different from us, that have different cultures, different race, different religion, different upbringing. Those differences are strengths. And then finally, the last of the pieces that I would recommend that CEOs really focus on is character. And the way I characterize character is, think of a brand being written right across your chest. We are all brand sensitive. We have a favorite soft drink. It may be Coke, it may be Pepsi, it may be a different brand, but brand is important. And it's not only the physical appearance of that product, or the physical appearance that we present, the way we present ourselves, but it's more importantly what's inside. So for us, our character, our integrity, our humility, our gratitude, our compassion for our fellow workers, those are things that are part of our brand and represent the character that people see and feel when they interact with us. So the net, I call those the C-suite, if you will, of success. If you can take all of those elements of how to learn, what to learn, and why to learn, and incorporate them in a corporation with the tone at the top being from the CEO, then I believe any company can respond to the challenges of an external environment and be successful.
Mm. So this one is going to be a bit of a tricky one to ask, but I'll just ask it. It's just based on on the cultural side of things. I don't know if you have that with from your side, but with us, I've realized that if you offer people something for free, like for instance, this is a free segment that I've offered to people to just come on board, and you are sharing what you've done, what you've got. But once you offer something for free to people, they don't want to attend. And then the minute you put a price to it, that's when everybody wants to come. Is it because we are not educated enough, or it's just a cultural thing? What is it all about?
Well, I wish I could understand that. That's a really good question. But you're right. It's an odd phenomenon that things that are free sometimes are just not valued. Um, but I like to believe that it doesn't hold true for everything. That people are intelligent and they realize that some things, like, and I'll give you an example. I mean, the increase in philanthropy that's out there has been a beautiful thing, and it has made college in many places free. And while there is still that human reaction that says, well, if it's free, it can't be that good, it's just not true. What it is a recognition that we're all in this together and we want to help each other out. And in that case, sometimes free is actually a really good statement about humanity and what humanity can do in lifting others.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just wanted, I think I threw that one in because I was thinking freedom, free. I might as well just try to combine the two.
A
Anyway,
trick question.
it's been great, Jim. I can't wait for you to come here to Melbourne. We have this group, it's called ACBF, Australian Christian Business Forum. So do let me know when you're here, and we'll organize something for you to just come and continue educating us. I'll ensure that we fill the room and they pay for it so that they really do fill the room. But look, it's been great. We've learned quite a lot. A few key takeaways that I've got here is the power of knowledge. Knowledge is powerful, whether you're getting it for free, whether you're paying for it. The amount of things that you continue to take in, they will help us in the future. It's always important for us to master something, not just a skill, but to also master an education. So for those who are watching and they would love to get a hold of James's book, please reach out to me. I have ordered about 20 copies. So if you behave, I will maybe, maybe share one with you. But otherwise, it has been great. Oh, I have another question coming in. All right, we'll just take these two questions, James, sorry. So one says, with the rapid pace of technological change, what educational approaches do you believe are most effective in preparing employees for innovative thinking?
Yeah, that's a really good question because there's a phenomenon now. A lot of people are thinking because of technology changing that they should focus on a technology degree, that they should specialize. And my advice is counter to that logic because my concern, as I briefly mentioned, is that with technology, there's going to be a greater risk that certain jobs and certain capabilities will be replaced with AI or with other forms of technology. So I believe that today, a liberal arts education, the breadth of knowledge is more important than ever before because we're going to need the ability to pivot. We're going to have a lot of things that machines can do better than humans. That means machines have to have more logic, more reasoning, more understanding of history, more understanding of the ancient philosophers and the humanities, and all of those classic knowledge elements that we sometimes have been passing by in favor of specialties. So I do encourage breadth of knowledge in the information age.
Mm-hmm. Very great. That's good. I'll just take this one as the last question. It says, how important is it for business leaders to stay engaged with academic institutions? And what are the best ways to foster those relationships for mutual benefit?
Yeah,
That's
really good question. I have been impressed with some schools. I'll give you an example. SMU, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, has partnered with the business community to bring CEOs onto the board of the school and to become much more closely engaged with the school. What I have found that when I was leading a corporation, I found schools to be a good resource to be able to provide student engagement with I hate to say it, but free consulting, if you will. Because if you think about it, the school needs live case studies, real problems to solve rather than just boring old case studies that may have been written 30 years ago. And a company needs talent, needs creative thinking in it, and the skills that a business student can bring to the table. So why not pair those up and be able to have the school, even with other companies engaged, be a neutral safe zone for 3 or 4 different companies, for example, to come together to plan out collaboration on either product or distribution and working together with the students being able to help facilitate that. Lots and lots of opportunities. So I do encourage a lot of participation between corporations and sources of higher education. Besides that, it's a good pipeline for future employees.
Yeah, yeah. And the more educated your employees are, the more successful your business. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that
Exactly.
because after Aussie Women in Business, we have been going around to universities to say, let's create a masterclass for African women who have been told that their role is to just to make babies or stay in the kitchen, but we want them to be to be given the right skills, to say, learn how to do accounting, at least if it's just basic accounting, know what a spreadsheet is and what it needs to do. So it shows that empowerment is going to take our future a different direction totally. So education really is freedom. I just love that. It's now sticking to me. Education is freedom. So once again, everybody, I'm being mindful of the fact that Jim, it's after midnight for you. And I'm just thinking I wouldn't be smiling right now had somebody got me to speak at this hour for you. So I would just love to release you. But please just say a few words, closing remarks, because we are so excited. We loved having you. We have learned quite a lot. For those who are following Sunday Supper Biz Talk Live, we are going to share this video and the nuggets that we've got from Jim today on our Facebook page, so on the Facebook group. So please stay tuned. Yep, over to you, Jim.
Well, Patience, let me leave you with, I think, one of the most important messages of the book. And this is something that I didn't actually write into the book because I've discovered this concept, the way of thinking, while being out speaking about the book. But on the cover, on purpose, I showed an image of the globe. And this is on purpose because I've done a lot of things with aerospace and with astronauts. I've got the very good fortune of being able to call Buzz Aldrin, the second man to walk on the moon, um, a good friend. And I've known him for 30 years. I've known a number of NASA astronauts, and they all have one common thing that they share. They look at the Earth with something called the overview effect. That's what I've tried to represent here. I get to see it. I'm an aviator myself. I fly in my own airplane. I'm at 40 to 45,000 feet, and I get to see just a little bit of the curvature of the Earth. So I understand a little of this overview effect. And here's what it means. It means that when you're looking down on the Earth from space, you don't see borders. You don't see countries. You don't see race. You don't see religion, war, petty battles. You have a perspective, and that's an important word, keep in mind, perspective of the earth as this beautiful place where humanity is privileged to come together as humans. That is a very, very different point of view than perception. Perception is what we're all dealing with day in, day out. It is fueled by our fears. So when you're on the internet tomorrow, the next day, and you see some meme on the internet and it triggers a reaction in you, take a breath, step back, and say, am I being influenced by my perception? Or can I step back from this and, as the astronauts do, have a perspective that's very different by collecting knowledge to bring light to this situation so that I'm not reacting. I'm instead using critical thinking, curiosity, all of those things that I talked about in the book to be able to give us a better perspective and make better decisions as a result. I'd encourage you to think about that difference between perception and perspective and strive for that knowledge that will give you too the light that you can carry and illuminate the way for others to be able to see a better way for us all to work together going forward.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, as someone who deals with a lot with the youth, one key takeaway that I'll be sharing with them this afternoon is knowledge is the antidote of fear. You are going to fear for as long as you don't know what you're dealing with. Knowledge is key. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is everything that we can think of as long as it's positive. Great, great, great. I love it. How can I get the book, Patience? All right, Doris, I will let you know. I'll send you the link to get the book. It's so exciting. So as I said, everybody, I do have 20 copies coming up. Be nice to me and I'll share the book with you. Otherwise, I'll also send through the link to get James's book so that we widen and broaden our way of thinking. We have taken quite a lot today. We've been blessed, Jim, Please go and rest. For some of us, we are about to get ready for dinner. It's been a lovely day. I've learned a lot. I've learned how to put my laptop on top of a bucket. So there's quite a lot that we have received. We love you, Jim. Thanks, my friend. It is true what they say.
Thank you, Patience.
Your network is your net worth. So show me who your friends are, and I'll show you who you are. Can't wait for that dinner when you're here in Melbourne. If you want to come to that dinner, guys, you know what to do. You need to smile when you see me. Thanks, Jim. Have a good
Definitely.
one.
I look forward to seeing you very soon, and my other friends in Australia. I can't wait.
Yes,
I can't wait to
definitely.
come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you everybody for
Thank
logging
you.
in today. Sunday Supper Biz Talk Live. Go and get ready for your supper. It is indeed a blessed evening to us all. Have a great one. See you again next week, Sunday. Yes, we just changed the times today because we had a special guest, but next week we're back to 6 p.m. Love you all. See you next week. Bye.
Thank you.